I had to talk about this news that took over the Indian Facebook and Instagram space by storm in the last couple of days. This was a news article published that reported saying profiles of women on matrimonial sites find fewer takers if they plan to continue working after marriage. A bit of a background here. India has matrimonial sites. It's like Tinder but for marriages. Why? Because Indian parents prefer arranging their children's marriages with an absolute stranger that they found online after having spoken to their parents for 15 minutes only. What's worse? Most times these couples aren't even allowed to speak to one another before the wedding day. Why? Because it's considered to be inauspicious or even against the Indian culture. Then how do they find out if they're compatible with one another? Why else do you think astrology exists? Your sun sign, your moon sign, your apple sign, your banana sign. If you think I'm making this up, you could not be more wrong. By the way, these matrimonial sites are generally the last or the third resort. Most times, the profiles of these bride or the groom are shared between the parents through WhatsApp. Here's how it looks. Here's something of importance to be mentioned in these profiles that are forwarded like a meme you come across. If it's a guy, there's always his salary. If it's a girl, her skin color. The lighter, the better. So all in all, Indian parents are okay sending off their daughters to a complete stranger's house forever, but will lose their minds if they find her talking to a male colleague or a classmate. Alright, let's get to the point. What's all the fuss about? It's this comment. Now, remember, this comment is by a woman. This was a comment that went viral under the published news headline. Now here, I'll be calling lakhs as currency units instead. Switch to my Indian accent. Well, that's because most women are earning between 3 to 4 currency units a year. But expecting men to be earning 10 to 50 currency units a year. Well, she will further use her insignificant job as an excuse to not do any household chores or claim equal contribution or ask her husband to get a maid. She is clear that she will contribute nothing in her husband's life other than being an inferior bread earner. In my own batch, people started getting angry when they realized most well-settled men rejecting their profiles and marrying other non-working women. But when I asked them to marry a guy earning less than them, they got more angry, saying that they deserve much better. To be honest, men don't want their inferior copycat. It's their choice if they want to marry a homemaker who will help him build a stable family. Just that gold diggers are having a hard time. Now there are 6 things that this lady got all wrong. Number 1. Most women of marriageable age in India are earning between 3 to 4 lakhs per annum is because the median age for a woman to get married in India is 22 years old. That's when they will have recently graduated or perhaps had lesser number of work experience, which automatically puts them in a lower salary bandwidth. Whereas the median age of men getting married in India ranges between 26 and 27, which puts them in a higher salary range because of their longer years of work experience. Also, don't forget the gender pay gap here. India fell to 112th rank in 2020 for Global Gender Pay Gap Index and 107th for wage equality for similar work. Women in India are also subject to discrimination based on their ability to continue work after marriage or childbirth. It is a common practice for employers to ask their female candidates about their plans of marriage or childbirth during interviews because it is not illegal there. It is also common knowledge that most MNCs outsource work to India. So working on a US or UK time zone means working on a night shift, which is outright dangerous for women, as neither is it safe to return home after dark nor are there enough public transport services available at that late at night. Now here's the second thing she got wrong. Using her job as an excuse to ask for equal contributions or hire a maid. Well, first of all, no job is insignificant just because it pays less. And secondly, parenting and marriage are a 2-person's job. It takes 2 people to make a child and 2 people to form a marriage. It is not okay for one of the persons to work 8 to 9 hours a day while their significant other works 24/7 at home just because they do not have a well-paying job. And where does this opinionated lady thinks all the money that the wife earns goes? She can pay to hire the maid too. What hallucinogen is this lady on? Third problematic thing. She is clear that she will contribute nothing in her husband's life other than being an inferior bread earner. So you're telling me a woman's job is only to do household chores unless she earns a crazy amount of money, or better if both? You see, this is one of the primary reasons why the female labor force participation rate in India is so low. It is hovering around 21%. It is lower than all of its neighboring countries, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, Nepal. It was even lower in the last 2 years. 21% is just the first quarter numbers of this year. The responses researchers found, among many others, were that women were required to do their household chores and make it a priority, irrespective of her having a job or not. I remember the CEO of PepsiCo, Indira, saying something along the similar lines, having faced a similar situation back home. I'll put the link in the description box down below. Do check it out. It is so messed up that women are leaving workforce at a rapid rate than they did before. It is because they're unable to cater to the household chores, which, by the way, they believe will not be completed if they do not complete it by themselves. They assume that no one else will touch it. They believe that. The fourth one about being furious because men rejecting working professionals and marrying the ones who prefer to stay at home. The stigma around women belonging in the kitchen is commonly known among Indians, but what's sad is that women such as Miss Ananya herself are the villains, as mothers of grooms themselves are pushing this agenda more than men themselves are doing so. This is clearly visible in the Netflix TV series called The India Matchmaking. If you haven't watched it already, go give it a watch. I haven't watched it myself because the memes were enough toxicity to frighten me away from it. The idea, as you will soon find out watching the TV show, is that why should the wife sweat when the husband is bringing home enough money for her to enjoy spending it? Maybe she wants to enjoy spending her own money, the one that she earned, instead of depending on alms. Now here's the crowd favorite, the fifth problem. Furious when asked to marry someone earning less than them. In my opinion, not cool. Do not marry someone for their money. You could marry them for their caliber though, irrespective of them being a woman or a man. Because higher caliber would eventually lead to success and therefore higher pay. But there are two important things that this lady is missing here. Rewinding back to the first point where she pointed out that women of marriageable ages are having an average annual income of 3 to 4 lakhs per annum, that is 3 to 4 currency units per year. Now, if you are on a tight budget, the cost of living in a metropolitan city such as Bangalore in India, where I come from, is 6.7 lakhs per annum. Now, that is if you are on a tight budget. If you are not, then it shoots up to 10 to 12 lakhs per annum. Now, let's just assume that the couple lives in a smaller city where the cost of living drops down to half of what it takes to live in metropolitan cities. It still takes away 5 lakhs per year, doesn't it? I mean, half of 10 is 5, isn't it? So you're telling me that if the wife earns 3 lakhs per annum and she chooses to marry someone who is at the age of 27, having good number of years of work experience, and still earns less than his wife, let's say 2 lakhs as opposed to 3 lakhs which his wife earns, what will they eat? I mean, it does not add up to even the required amount, does it? Now, this is just me calculating on over the top of my head. You correct me in the comment sections down below. Tell me if I'm wrong. Now, let's go to the other point. You're telling me that the lady earns 3 lakhs per annum and the man earns less than her despite having significantly more number of years of work experience than she does. What if the lady eventually continues and earns the appropriate amount of money as and when she reaches the ages of 26 and 27, and this happens? This man cut off his wife's hands after she cleared an exam that would get her a stable, well-paying government job, just because he was unemployed while she wasn't. And here's the sixth point she mentions. Men don't want their inferior copycat. Why does she assume all men see their significant others as their inferiors and not equals? Anyway, here's the seventh one. Just that gold diggers are having a hard time. The only statement true in this whole read. Gold diggers are out of jobs these days, especially due to COVID, and also because Kolar gold fields remain closed. Have you watched the movie though, KGF? I haven't yet, but I will soon. Look, women in India are already degraded in one way or another, and it affects their employment and employability conditions. For example, 99% of all sexual harassment cases go unreported in India. When being dropped off to home late at night by a male colleague, they are questioned and rattled by police officers on their way home, even though it is illegal. But it is carried out in the name of moral policing. These are just surface level problems that I've discussed in the video. I'm currently researching on improving employability of women from underdeveloped and developing countries. So yeah, I had reasons to get triggered by this comment. Anyway, I hope to bring in more insights on this topic through my research and my social entrepreneurship initiative that actually helps improving employability of rural women of India. So subscribe to stay updated.